निज सुख लागी पापे नहीं डोरी दोयाहीन स्वार्थ पारो स्वार्थ लागी पापे नहीं दोयाहीन स्वार्थ पर सुखे दुखी सदा मिथ्याभासी पर दुख सुख कारो सुखे दुखी सदा मिथ्याभासी पर सुखे सुख कारो आमार जीवन सदा पापे रत नाही को पुण्येर लेश जीवन सदा पापे नाही को पुण्येर लेश आशेष कामना रिद्धिम जे मोर क्रोधी दंभ परायण कामना रिद्धिम जे परायण मद मत सदा विषये मोहित हिंसा गर्व विभूषण मत सदा विषये मोहित हिंसा गर्व विभूषण आमार जीवन सदा पापे रत नाही को पुण्येर लेश जीवन सदा पापे नाही को निद्रालस्य हता सुकार्य विरत अकार्ये उद्योग आमी हता सुकार्य विरत अकार्ये उद्योग प्रतिष्ठा लागी असत्य आचरण लोभ हत सदा कामी आमार जीवन सदा पापे रत नाही को पुण्येर लेश एहेनो दुर्जन सज्जन वर्जित अपराधी निरंतर शुभ कार्य शून्य सदा नर्तमान नाना दुखे जरा जरा शून्य सदा नर्तमान नाना दुखे आमार जीवन सदा पापे रत नाही को पुण्येर लेश वार्धक्ये एको न उपाय विहीन ताते दीन अकिंचन पकति विनोद प्रभुर चरणे कोरे दुख निवेदन विनोद प्रभुर चरण कोरे दुख निवेदन आमार जीवन सदा पापे रत नाही को पुण्येर लेश जीवन सदा पापे रत नाही को पुण्येर लेश पारे रे उद्वेग दियाची ये कोटो दियाची जीवेर क्लेश उद्वेग दियाची ये कोटो दियाची जीवेर क्लेश आमार जीवन सदा पापे रत नाही को पुण्येर लेश सदा पापे रत नाही को पुण्येर आमार जीवन सदा पापे रत नाही को पुण्येर लेश You read the translation. So the translation of this bhajan is, I am an impious sinner and have caused others great anxiety and trouble. I have never hesitated to perform sinful acts for my own enjoyment. Devoid of all compassion, concerned only by my selfish interests, I am remorseful seeing others happy. I am a perpetual liar, and the misery of others is a source of great pleasure for me. The material desires within the core of my heart are unlimited. I am wrathful, devoted to false pride and arrogance, intoxicated by vanity, and bewildered by worldly affairs. Envy and egotism are the ornaments that I wear. Ruined by laziness and sleep, I resist all pious deeds, yet I am very active and enthusiastic to perform wicked acts. For worldly fame and reputation, I engage in the practice of deceitfulness. Thus I am destroyed by my own greed, and I am always lustful. A vile wicked man such as this, rejected by godly people, is a constant offender. I am such a person, devoid of all good works, forever inclined towards evil, worn out and wasted by various miseries. Now in old age, deprived of all means of success, humbled and poor, Bhakti Vinoda submits his tale of grief at the feet of the Supreme Lord. Haribol. It's every one of us, not you. Sing one more. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Good, you came just in time. Give one to Prabhu. Oh, wait. Give me the first page. Yeah. Okay. Whatever. Thank you, Prabhu. परम करुण पाहु द्विजन निताय गौर चंद्र 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 सब अवतार सार शिरोमणि केवल आनंद कंद सब अवतार शिरोमणि केवल आनंद कंद केवल आनंद कंद केवल आनंद कंद केवल Ananda Kanda Kevalananda Kanda Bhajo Bhajo Bhai Chaitanya Nitai Shudrada Vishwasa Kori Bhajo Bhajo Bhai Chaitanya Nitai Shudrada Vishwasa Kori Vishaya Chadiya Sera Se Majiya Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari Vishaya Chadiya Sera Se Majiya Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari Mukhe Bolo Hari 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 Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari Dekho re bai Tribhuvane nai Emona doyala data Dekho re bai Tribhuvane nai Emona doyala data Pasu Pakhi Jure Pasana Vidare Suni Janra Guna Gatha Pakhi Jure Pasana Vidare Suni Janra Guna Gatha 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 Samsare Majiya Rohili Poriya Se Pade Nahilo Asha Samsare Majiya Rohili Poriya Se Pade Nahilo Asha Apana karama bunjaye shamana kahoye lochana dasa Apana karama bunjaye shamana kahoye lochana dasa Kahoye lochana dasa Kahoye lochana dasa Lochana dasa kahoye lochana dasa Parama karuna pahu duijana Nitai Gaura Chandra Parama karuna pahu duijana Nitai Gaura Chandra Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you, Prabhu. Prabhu, can you
Previous bhajan.
Ah, yeah.
Previous bhajan, is it yours?
Yeah, that's fine. Just wait a minute. Just sorry, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So the meaning of the bhajan is, the translation, the two lords Nitai Gaura Chandra are very merciful. They are the essence of all incarnations. The specific significance of these incarnations is that they introduced a process of chanting and dancing that is simply joyful. My dear brother, I request that you just worship Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda with firm conviction and faith. If one wants to be Krishna conscious by this process, one has to give up his engagement in sense gratification. One simply has to chant Hare Krishna, Hari Hari without any motive. My dear brother, just try to examine this. Within the three worlds, there is no one like Lord Chaitanya or Lord Nityananda. Their merciful qualities are so great that upon hearing them, even birds and beasts cry and stones melt. But Lochan Das regrets that I am entrapped by sense gratification, since I have no attraction for the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. Then Yamaraj, the superintendent of death, is punishing me by not allowing me to be attracted by this movement. Haribol. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. This next bhajan is another mea culpa, as they say in English. Mea culpa, of course, is a Latin term. It means literally, I am sorry. And the great Vaishnava saint Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and great poet and philosopher, he's speaking to Krishna from his heart. He said, I forsook you. In other words, I left you, O Lord, and came to this world of pain and sorrow. Now I submit my tale of woe at your lotus feet. While still in the unbearable fetters of my mother's womb, I saw you before me. You revealed yourself, but briefly, and then abandoned this poor servant of yours. At that moment, I swore to worship you after taking birth. But birth came, and with it, the network of worldly illusion, which robbed me of all good sense. As a fondled son in the lap of relatives, I passed my time smiling and laughing. My parents' affection helped me to forget the pangs of birth, and I thought the world was very nice. Day by day I grew and soon began playing with other boys. Shortly my powers of understanding emerged. I read and studied my lessons incessantly. Traveling from place to place, proud of my education, I grew wealthy and maintained my family with undivided attention. O Lord Hari, I forgot you. Now in old age, Bhaktivinoda is sad. He weeps. I failed to worship you, O Lord, and instead passed my life in vain. What will be my fate now? This is a pretty strong mea culpa. Mea culpa in Latin means I am so sorry. Right? But it is a description of many people in this world. So we will chant this, and then we have our class all about this subject of forgetting Krishna. Oh, I need one copy myself. I forgot. That's our disease, forgetfulness. Buliya tomare samsara asiya penama bidabyata. Tomara charana asiya chiyami bolo bodu kerakata. Bolo Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo. Janani Jatare Chilama Jakona Bisama Bandana Pase Bisama bandana pase ek para Prabhu dekha diya more ek bara Prabhu dekhiya diye mur posalem dinadase ek bara Prabhu dekha diya more posile dinadase Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Takona babinu janama paya koribo brajana tava koribo brajana tava janama hoilo porimaya jale na hoilo jnana labha Bolo Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Bolo Hare Krishna Adare Jela Swajanare Kolo Hasya Katanukala Janaka Janani Snehete Bulia Samsara Lagilo Balo Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Dharme Krame Dina Balakoya Kelinu Balakasa Arakichu Dine Jnana Upajilo Patapori Ahara Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Vidyara Gurave Brumi Dese Dese Dana Uparjana Kori Swajana Palana Kori Ekamane Pulino Tomare Hari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bardake ekona bakati vinoda Candida katara ati Nabujiyai tore dina prita cielo ekona ki habegati Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol Nitai Gora, Hari Bol Nitai Gora, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol Nitai Gora, Hari Bol. Tagore Premanandi ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shrimad Bhagavad Gita Grantha Raj ki jai, Bolo Shri Krishna Bhagavan ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Nila Madhava ki jai. So today we're going to hear something very, very interesting. And it encompasses many, many subjects. And I think you're going to be surprised. Anything surprise you, Prabhu, in life?
Definitely will be some surprise.
Okay. So today we're going to read from the Srimad Bhagavatam, the greatest spiritual literature in the history of the universe, not just this earth planet, the whole universe. This is read in the higher planetary systems. It's read in the middle planetary systems where we are. It's even read in the lower planetary systems for those who are lucky enough to get a hold of it there. You don't want to go there. Let's put it like that. So this is Canto 7, Chapter 7, verse number 21. And it says, I'll quickly read the Sanskrit and then we'll read the English. We have it in Chinese also, but nobody understands Chinese here, so we'll refrain from that. Yeah. Swarnam yata gravasu himakaraha Kshetre suyogaistad abhigya apnuvat Kshetre sudehe sutatatma yogar Adhyatma vid brahma gatim labeta. An expert geologist. Geologists are people who know about dirt, D-I-R-T, can understand where there is gold, and by various processes can extract it from the gold ore. Similarly, a spiritually advanced person can understand how the spiritual particle, meaning the soul, exists within the body, and thus by cultivating spiritual knowledge, he or she can attain perfection in spiritual life. However, as one who is not expert cannot understand where there is gold, a foolish person who has not cultivated spiritual knowledge cannot understand how the spirit exists within the body. Purport or commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Here is a very good example concerning spiritual understanding. Foolish rascals, including so-called jnanis, philosophers and scientists, cannot understand the existence of the soul within the body because they are lacking in spiritual knowledge. The Vedas enjoin tad vijnanatam sagurum eva vigachet. To understand spiritual knowledge, one must approach a bona fide spiritual master. Unless one has been trained in geology, one cannot detect gold in stone. Similarly, unless one has been trained by a spiritual master, he or she cannot understand what is spirit and what is matter. Here it is said, yogaistad abhigyaha. This indicates that one who has connected himself with spiritual knowledge can understand that there is a spiritual soul within the body. However, one who is in an animalistic conception of life and has no spiritual culture cannot understand. As an expert mineralogist or geologist can understand where there is gold and can then invest his money to dig there and chemically separate the gold from the ore, an expert spiritualist can understand where the soul is within matter. One who has not been trained cannot distinguish between gold and stone. Anyone? Similarly, fools and rascals who have not learned from an expert spiritual master what is soul and what is matter cannot understand the existence of the soul within the body. To understand such knowledge, one must be trained in the mystic yoga system, or finally in the bhakti yoga system. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 18:55, Bhaktyamam abhijanati yamanyaschasmi tattvato tatomam tattvato gyatva vishitetad anantaram. Unless one takes shelter of the bhakti yoga process, one cannot understand the existence of the soul within the body. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita begins by teaching Dehinosmin yata dehe komaran yovanam jara. Tata dehantara praptir dirastatra namuyate. As the embodied soul continually passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. The self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. In Bhagavad Gita 2:13. Thus, the first instruction is that one should understand that the soul is within the body and is transmigrating from one body to another. This is the beginning of spiritual knowledge. Any person who is not expert in understanding this science or is unwilling to understand it remains in the bodily conception of life or the animalistic conception of life as confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam. Yasyatma buddhi kunape tridatuke sa eva gokaraha. So this verse, okay, I'll explain it in a second. Every member of human society should clearly understand the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, for only in this way can one be spiritually elevated and automatically give up the false illusory knowledge by which one thinks, I am this body and everything belonging to this body is mine. Aham mameti in Sanskrit. This doggish conception should be rejected immediately. One should be prepared to understand the spirit soul and the Supreme Spirit, God, who is eternally related. Thus, one may return home back to Godhead, having solved all the problems of life. Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavane Ki Jai. So, today, first of all, this is a very serious message. And many years ago, I met a very famous American author in the streets of Paris. I intrinsically recognized him. He had a big handlebar mustache, and there were people around him. And when I was driving by, I had a feeling that this was a famous person that I should talk to. So I stopped my car, got out, and I grabbed a copy of this book, Srimad Bhagavatam. And I went up to this person, but he was surrounded by others, and they were all asking him questions and talking. They were very excited. And I asked someone, who is this? And they said, it is William Saroyan. Saroyan was an Armenian who became a famous American author. He wrote books in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. He was famous. It's the same time as Steinbeck and other authors, and he resonated with the people of that time in the United States. And I had read some of his books, and I also thought he was a great man. So I finally muscled my way in, standing next to him. And when he just turned and looked at me for a second, I said, Mr. Saroyan, I said, my name is so-and-so. I want to offer you this book for free. So he didn't take it right away. He said, what is it about? I said, it's about your eternal relationship with God. He said, I don't want it. Go away. I said, no, I'm offering it to you free. He said, I don't care if you pay me. I don't want this book. Now go away. Leave me alone. I said, Mr. Saroyan, I said, go away, otherwise I'll call the police. I said, okay. I was shocked. Because this is a famous man. He was something like a guru in his own right. He was writing all kinds of books. Many people were reading it. He became famous. He was gaining so much money. There were plays on Broadway about his books and also movies made of his books. So I walked away bewildered. Then, 2 years later, he was in the news on the Associated Press release, and he made the following statement. He said, now that I'm going to die, I'm very confused, and I don't know what's going to happen to me. So what is next? That was his statement. And then he did die after that. So then it all made sense to me. When I read which was his last statement in his life, I could understand that he basically wasted his whole life. So what we just sang in this strong song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says, "Day by day I grew and soon began playing with other boys. Shortly my powers of understanding emerged. I read and studied my lessons incessantly. Traveling from place to place, proud of my education, I grew wealthy and maintained my family with undivided attention. O Lord Hari, I forgot you. Now in old age, Bhaktivinoda is sad. He weeps. I failed to worship you, O Lord Krishna, and instead passed my life in vain. What will be my fate now?" This is exactly the description of William Saroyan, this famous writer, a person that I thought was a great man, and I thought he would immediately take the book, this book, in which it says, just as an expert geologist can understand where there is gold, and by various processes can extract it from the gold ore, similarly, a spiritually advanced person can understand how the spiritual particle exists within the body, and thus by cultivating spiritual knowledge, he can attain perfection in spiritual life. However, as one who is not expert cannot understand where there is gold, a foolish person who has not cultivated spiritual knowledge cannot understand how the spirit exists within the body. This is an exact description of Mr. Saroyan.
He would have known where he was going if he had taken the book.
He would have known, yes. I offered it to him. He could have figured out what is the actual purpose of life. But no, he rejected it. As soon as I said the word God, he had a very, very, very disgusting look in his face, as if I said, this is about, Trump, for example. He said, well, go away, So he was very, very adamant. He didn't want anything to do with God. And he rejected it. And then in the moment of his death, he said, I'm confused. I don't know what's going to happen to me. I have to say exactly what he said. He said, now that I'm going to die, he said, first of all, he said, I never thought this would happen to me. That's the first thing he said. I never thought this would happen to me. Then he said, now that I'm going to die, I don't know what's going to happen. And so what is next? That was it. See, actually, we should think ourselves, do we actually believe that we're going to die? Most people don't even want to think about it during their life until they get very sick and they're in the hospital and they can have chemotherapy. Then they have pinpoint radiation therapy. And then the doctor says, the cancer is in remission. And you feel, oh, wonderful. The doctor saved me. And then 6 months later, it comes back again. Again, they do chemotherapy and then pinpoint radiation. And then the doctor says, your cancer is in remission. He said, oh, thank you very much, doctor. You go home, you're happy. And then it comes back again. And this time the doctors say, there's nothing we can do for you. It's not going to help you to have another treatment of chemo and pinpoint radiation. You'd better go home and die. You know how many times that happens in the United States? You know how many funerals I have performed for 35, 40-year-old women who have 2, 3 kids, and they've been told you have to go home and die. And they went home and died. It happens more than you can imagine. More than you can imagine. Not only to Indians, but also Indian nationals or Indian expatriates in the United States, but also to many Americans. It happened to my father. It happened to my father. He was able to walk to the hospital. They had to carry him back in an ambulance after the chemo and the radiation. He would have had a better chance just staying at home and changing his diet and learning how to eat properly, give up smoking, give up drinking coffee and tea, having a regulated life, going to sleep early, waking early, taking regular baths, eating healthy food, no junk, no meat, no eggs, no fish, no murgi, he would have had a better chance. But no. He wanted to get at that time it wasn't pinpoint radiation, it was all-invasive radiation. In other words, they didn't pinpoint it, they just burnt everything. And he was burned. I saw him when he came back from the hospital. He was suffering, and he suffered for 9 months, and he died a miserable death. I used to hear him screaming at night, "Give me poison, I can't stand this anymore." That's when you get, that was the old chemo, radiation. Nowadays they call it pinpoint. I had a very good friend of mine. He was an Iranian, and he used to call me up all the time. He used to have very nice spiritual discussions. And one day he called me up. He said, "I have cancer." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah. But don't worry," he said. "I'm going to get pinpoint radiation. It only focuses on the cancer. It doesn't focus on any other tissues in the body." I said, "My friend," I said, "I wouldn't believe what the doctors are saying." No, these are PhDs from Harvard and Stanford." I said, "That doesn't mean anything." I said, "They're still businessmen." I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Look, if you go to a used car lot to buy a used car from a used car salesman, what do you think?" He said, "Well, I'm on my guard," he said, "because they usually take advantage of you. They're more interested in selling the car than giving you a good car." I said, "Okay." So when you go to see the doctor who graduated from Harvard and Yale, what do you think? So, "Oh, he has to be a very, very model person, model citizen. He has to be a good man. He graduated from such a big university." I said, "Wrong." He said, "What do you mean wrong?" I said, "The doctor has much higher overhead than the used car salesman. He doesn't make money by telling you to change your diet, give up coffee and tea, stop eating meat, and gives you good nutritional recommendations and Ayurvedic herbs or natural herbs. He doesn't tell you that. He tells you chemo and pinpoint radiation, because that's how he makes money." He said, No. He said, no, that's not possible. No. These are very reputable men. They know what they're talking about, and I think you're talking nonsense. I said, "Look, you're my friend. If you were not my friend, I wouldn't say anything. You should listen to me." He said, No, I'm not going to listen to you. He said, "I'm going to go and get it, and I don't want to talk to you anymore." He hung up. 2 months later, his mother called me. He said, "He died." I said, "What?" "He's dead. He wanted me to tell you that, and he's very sorry he didn't listen to you." I said, "It's very sad. Very, very sad." Well, this brings up a bigger subject. And we're going to talk today about the educational system in the United States, in Europe, and in India. This goes back to 1844, the beginning of this history. There was an American person. He went to Europe to study their educational system in order to revamp the educational system in the United States. So he went to a part of Germany called Prussia, and he studied the new way of teaching that they were doing in this German area of Europe. And when he came back to the United States, he spoke about what was called the factory model of education. Now, what is this factory model of education? The Germans, are very organized, and after they were able to unite all the German-speaking areas and make one country, this was in the 1800s, they started to organize the educational system very seriously. And what were they trying to do? They were trying to come into the modern world of technology. You know and I know that the Germans have the highest technology, at least up until the Second World War. They had the best technology in the world. They still do, but they have a lot of competition now. Before, there was no competition to what they could do and what they did. And it was all based on this Horace Mann's experience. He went there in 1843, and he saw something that was shocking. He saw that in their new educational system, they emphasized technology, science, and mathematics, and they were trying to educate kids to leave the farms and come and work in the factories, and also become highly educated in science and technology and math. So when he came back to the United States, he didn't exactly say we should do the same thing, but he spoke about what he saw. And he tried to bring in, first of all, they tried to raise the level of education of all the teachers. And they organized public schools that had government funding. And they emphasized these subjects, science subjects. And also they permitted, because people were objecting at that time, because most of the schools were Christian schools in the United States. And they were objecting. They said, look, you're going to teach these kids all this science and math and who knows what else. They have to learn the Bible also. That's what's going on in our schools. And you're going to publicly, the government is going to fund the schools. You're going to take over all the educational system. People won't be able to pay for a private education anymore. You'll get the common people, kids in your schools, and you won't teach them to believe in God and the Bible and Jesus. They say, okay. No, we'll have some reading of the Bible also, right? So then the churches went along with it because they promised that they would read the Bible also in the schools, and they started the schools. Now, what happened? The Industrial Revolution took place, and many people moved from the villages to the bigger cities. And their kids went to these organized government schools, and they learned technology, math, and science. And all of a sudden, as time went on, they ended up working in factories. They ended up becoming scientists. They ended up becoming tech people. And the end result, in the 1960s, they legally stopped reading the Bible in school. I remember the day. I was in school. My professor was actually, one of my teachers was actually like a Christian priest, or not a priest, but a minister. He was not Catholic, but he was a minister. And every morning he would spend a half an hour reading the Bible, and he'd teach us the Bible, right? Now, the school I went to, most of the kids, this was an elite school in Philadelphia. It was a public school, but it was an elite school. You had to qualify to get in it. And most of the kids were Jewish kids. I was not Jewish, but most of the kids were Jewish, and they were very smart, right? And the day he came in and he announced that he was not allowed to read the Bible anymore, all those kids started to cheer. I was a little confused. I didn't understand what was happening because I enjoyed hearing the Bible every morning, right? Because I was a Christian. And he was upset. And then he asked one of the Jewish boys, he said, go open the window. So he went over the window, he couldn't lift it. And he couldn't open it. So he came over, he said, stand over here, Stein. He said, you have to say the name of God, the Jesus, to lift the window. And he said, Jesus, help us. And boom, the window went up. It was very funny the way it happened. I said, now this is like, this is like 60 years ago, right? I still remember it. That was the day that the law went into practice, and no one was allowed to read the Bible anymore in the school. And from that day on, the morality of this country has decreased significantly. And why? Because kids are no longer taught to believe in God. In fact, they're taught not to believe in God in the schools. If you don't believe me, I can bring kids up here that are in elementary and middle school, and you'll hear from them. The teacher is not allowed to talk about God in the class. What do they talk about? They talk about Darwinism. We all come from monkeys. They talk about the Big Bang, which was the beginning of creation. And they're teaching this in a very emphatic way to the kids. And they say, and this is the most vicious thing that they say that nature, material nature, produces itself, its energy on which it is functioning. This is a blatantly false statement. And all the kids are taught that, and they believe it, that nature produces its own energy, you say. Now, why is that such a pernicious or bad thing to expose anyone to, especially kids who can't argue against it because the teacher is saying this is science? Well, it's like this. Let's say you have a cell phone. I'm sure many people have cell phones, right? Does the cell phone produce its own energy? What's your answer? No. Even if it's a cell phone that functions with a solar panel, it's still not producing its own energy. Energy is coming from the sun, right? So, if your battery in the cell phone runs out, the cell phone doesn't work anymore. It doesn't produce energy on its own. You've got to plug it in and get an electric charge of your battery. Does a car produce its own energy? No. Especially if it's an internal combustion car. No. Every time you run out of gas, you got to go to Costco and get some cheaper gas there or somewhere else, right? Do you produce your own energy? Let's think about it. Do you produce your own energy that makes your system run? No. If you stop drinking water and stop eating, you'll die. Right? You have to get it from an outside source, you see. So to claim that nature produces its own energy is a false statement. So where is the energy coming from by which nature is working? It comes from the sun. The plants capture the energy of the sun and they produce glucose. And the glucose is transformed into more complicated carbohydrates. Eventually, over a long period of time, the plants die, they go into the earth, they're compressed, there's heat, and over a long period of time, that glucose, the original glucose, is transformed into coal, oil, or gas. And then the big companies, they extract this cold oil and gas, and they burn it, and it releases energy. That energy is coming from the sun, captured by God's solar panels, the plants, you see. And we depend on that. And we also eat plants, and our body breaks down the carbohydrates in the plants, but most of the carbohydrates in plants is glucose, so you don't have to really work hard to break it down. Of course, if you get white sugar, it's a much more complicated sugar. Your body has to extract a lot, expend a lot of energy to break it down to simple glucose. Glucose, like if you go to the hospital and you can't eat because you have tubes in your throat to breathe, right? How do they keep you alive? You tell me. They put these intravenous needles into your blood vessels, and what's going into the blood? What's going in? Two things are going in. Three things are going in. Glucose, saline solution, and water to keep you alive. But the main thing is the glucose. Otherwise, you'll die. And because it's glucose, the body can immediately metabolize it, use it for energy. It goes to all, because of the blood circulation, it circulates and all the cells of the body get some of that glucose and you stay alive, you see. So, this idea that nature produces its own energy is false. Now, where does the energy of the sun come from? That's the crucial question, because the whole universe is depending on the sun for its energy. It comes from Krishna. It's not made in the sun. Krishna has a natural glow of his body, and that glow is called the Brahma Jyoti. Jyoti means light, right? Brahma Jyoti means it's spiritual light and heat that's emanating from the body of God. Just like from your body, heat is emanating. Is it not? Yeah. You're generating heat. Krishna's body is much greater than our body. This beautiful Brahma Jyoti, which sustains all life in the spiritual world and in the material world, is coming from Krishna. And it's reflected off the sun and it comes into the material world. According to Vedic astronomy, there's only one sun. That's the sun that we see. And it's nourishing the whole universe. The other bodies, like the moon and the stars, they are all reflecting the energy of the sun. Now, if you go out into space, you don't necessarily see that light and energy because it's in the form of electromagnetic waves. Like right now, your cell phone works because there is such a thing as an electromagnetic wave, right? Now, do you see it? It's going through this room. They're going through this room right now. If you open your cell phone, you see pictures, you see people talking, you see Netflix, you see YouTube. How is that coming through? How is that coming? There are no wires. How is that coming to you? Do you know? You know, sir? You know? Yeah. Huh? Yes. Do you see them coming through this room? No. The same thing in space. You would not see all that amazing energy. You know, the Earth only receives like less than a billionth of the energy of the sun. Less than that. That's how powerful the sun is. And it's sending that energy throughout the whole universe. And it's maintaining all life. So, now, if we teach our kids that nature produces its own energy, and everything started with a big bang, and Darwin's theory of the evolution of species is an explanation why there's so many different species in life, that is the foundation of atheism. That's the foundation of atheism. Now, I'm going to tell you something else that's shocking. There was a lady in the United States called, I think, Elizabeth Sandor. She is the founder of Planned Parenthood. And in the 1940s, she came to India, to Mumbai, and organized the first international conference on birth control. Right? Now, what happened after that? After that in India, sometime after that, people were able to see before a child is born whether it's a girl or a boy. What did they do? Huh? Say it out loud. If the fetus is a girl, they killed the girl, right? Because they wanted boys. This is because of this lady who came to India, and the first international seminar or conference on birth control was organized by her in Mumbai. In Mumbai. Can you imagine that? And the Indians picked up on it. So, you see, there are a lot of things happening that started earlier as concerning education, and birth control is another issue based on education. You're educating women that you don't have to have a baby if you don't want it. You can have it killed, you say. Okay, so now there's an American author named John Taylor Gatto. He wrote a book called The Underground History of Education in 2001. And in there, he linked the factory school model to the number of ills or moral degradation going on in America. And he goes back to this Horace Mann who studied the educational system in Germany in 1843. And he says that the idea, that the concept of a factory school in which kids are denied knowledge of God and they're taught only technology, math, and science, it has changed society. Now, you tell me, has there been a major shift from the villages to the big cities in India? Yes. And do they learn about God in the public schools in India? Yes? Not anymore. Is there a rise of atheism in India? Yes. You see? So the same thing that happened in the United States has happened in India. And it's based on this factory model. Now, what does that mean exactly, the factory model? It means several things. But the main thing is that kids are taught science, math, and technology so that they will go into the factories or the multinational companies, the tech companies, and work like slaves. Now, the word slave is a bad word, right? So they don't call them slaves. They call them high-tech people. But that's a code word for slave. Probably you tell me, is it highly competitive in the company you work? Are you always afraid of getting fired? Do you get an evaluation every 6 months? Right. Are you worried before the evaluation? This is all planned. The whole thing is planned. You understand? Now, does it make you work harder? Yeah. You see? This is a type of slavery. But they don't call it slavery because that's a bad word. They call it high tech. Right. And how did you get trained to do it? You got trained in what's called a factory school in India. But it's the same thing in the United States. You see? Do you remember maybe your grandparents, they were living in a village? They raised so many kids. They didn't have a lot of money, but they were happy. Is that right? Right? You're only separated 1 or 2, or maximum 3 generations from that, right? But now people live in these little concrete buildings in Hyderabad and Mumbai and Chennai and Calcutta, right? They used to live, on the land. They had the cows. They churned butter. They were basically self-sufficient. Now they are completely dependent. If the Walmart, Fred Meyer, and QFC and Safeway closed down, they say we have no food. What would you do? Huh? And if the gas station says no gas, what would happen? And if the electricity went off, what would happen in the middle of winter? And they say we can't put it on for 6 months. What would happen? A lot of people would die. You're completely dependent. You see what's happened? Whereas before, let's say it was 1910 in Tamil Nadu, and they said no more electricity. Would people get upset?
No, they don't know what it is.
They didn't even know what it is. They could have lived, right? If they said no more food, would they worry? No, they knew how to grow their own food and store it. They store it in these mud huts so that the rats can't get to it, right? So you see what's happened. There's been a major change in society, and it's because of the factory school, where they train kids not to be self-sufficient. They train them to be independent. But the enticement is, if you graduate with an IT degree, you'll start at $80,000 to $100,000 a month. That's the enticement, you see. But you're going to have to work really hard, and you work super hard when you first join, right? Because it's highly competitive, and it stays competitive the whole time. It's a merciless competition. You can get fired anytime. This is America. It's not like Europe where the laws. When I had my company in Europe, if I wanted to fire someone, I had to get permission from the work inspector. And the work inspector was never there. They were always on vacation. It didn't matter if the worker was a thief or they were causing trouble. You couldn't fire them. Otherwise, you get sued. See? That's coming to America. And people, the workers will like it. The CEOs won't like it at all. They're not letting it happen, believe me. So you see, there's a history about this. And there was a purposeful organization to dumb down kids, to leave the villages and come to the big cities and work in factories and get into, but high-tech industry is also factory. It's a different type of factory, but it's just as pernicious as the other factory. But the worst part of it is the kids are taught to be atheists and to believe what? That money, making money is the goal of life, because with that money you can get houses, you can get cars, you can get boats, you can buy expensive watches and ties and all these things. And you know, you don't want to go back to churning butter and going out with the cow in the field and things like that. It's too hard. You just sit back, watch television, smoke a cigarette, eat meat, and just see your 401k growing. At the same time, diabetes is growing. At the same time, cancer is growing. At the same time, your kids are leaving the house and you're ending up being an empty nester. You know what an empty nester is? After a bird builds a nest, lays its eggs, and the eggs hatch, and then the bird feeds the little birds and teaches them to fly, they fly away, and the nest is empty. That's what's going to happen to all of us. That's what you did. You left your nest in India, and your parents are alone. Is it true?
Correct.
Yeah. And they're growing old, and it's a problem. They thought, oh, my kids will take care of me. Yeah, they're sending money, but the kids are not there. You see. This was all planned. It was all planned by the factory school, in which that whole movement broke down. It happened in America, it happened in Europe, and it's happened in India. And along with that comes birth control and abortion. You see, that's part of it. And that started in India with Miss Sanger, who came from the United States to Mumbai to hold the first international conference on birth control. Can you believe it? And the Indians fell for it. As soon as they were able to identify the sex of the baby in the womb of the mother, they started killing the little girls. You see? This is India, the land of Dharma. Right. Okay, so I don't want to give too much bad news, but here, this verse is very important because this is what our kids should learn. This verse says, as an expert geologist can understand where there is gold, and by various processes can extract it from the gold ore, similarly, a spiritually advanced person can understand how the spiritual particle exists within the body. And thus, by cultivating spiritual knowledge, he can understand perfection in spiritual life. He can attain perfection in spiritual life. However, perfection in spiritual life means you're liberated now from all the bad qualities of this age and from the influence of the modes of material nature and even from the influence of time. You're liberated from these things so that you perform your natural duties. If you're married, you have so many duties and so forth. But at the same time, you have time for spiritual life. No matter how challenging your schedule is, you still have time for spiritual life. Therefore, you have a balance. And then later on, when you become an empty nester, you can reduce all the things that are taking you away from spiritual life and increase it. to the point where it becomes 90% of your life, and then later on 100% of your life. And therefore, at the moment of death, you're not confused. You know who you are, and you know your relationship with Krishna, and you go back to Godhead. This is the purpose of human life. That's our real potential. Our potential is to have eternal life, free of old age, disease, and death. These things are artificial impositions on us, right? There's diabetes, there's pinpoint radiation, there's chemotherapy, the kidney dialysis. All that is nonsense. If you live a clean life, no gambling, no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit activities outside of marriage, you'll not get sick. You'll not get sick. And you have regulated life. Regulated. The reason people get sick is irregularity. Just like when you take an airplane from Seattle to Mumbai, right? Or Hyderabad. So it's very, very taxing on your body. And then you change the time zones, right? It's very, very difficult. And then you fly back again, change the time zones, again go through that whole 18 or 36 hours of traveling, and you come back, you have a cold, you have a sore throat, your whole body is thrown off, the biorhythms of your body is thrown off, you get tired in the afternoon because it's daytime in India, nighttime in India, and you don't feel tired at night because it's daytime in India, and it takes you sometimes a month to come back to normal. I know many examples of older people, parents, that fly to the United States and the father dies here or the mother dies here because that trip was too much for them, right? You have to be in good shape to go through that trip. And if you do it in an older age, sometimes if you have some kind of pre-existing medical condition, you're not able to recover, and they die. Many times I perform funerals also for grandmothers or grandfathers who died, who came to the United States to spend time with their kids and have a good time and see their grandkids, and they died because they couldn't recover from that trip. So, we need to have spiritual education for our kids. Very important, because they're being bombarded with this materialistic education, and we don't realize what's happened. It completely changed society from a rural, self-sufficient, family-oriented, God-centered society to a industrialized society with big factories and big tech companies and so forth, and irregulated life, running here, here, there, no time for anything else. You can't even go to the temple in India sometimes because the temple, it might take you an hour and a half to get there through the traffic, right? So even going to the temple is a problem, and it's easier here, right? But it's much harder there. So it has completely changed society, the way people, and then the outsourcing, another thing that changed society. Now, many people are up all night long to be able to talk to the Americans and the Europeans, right? And then on the way home, they stop in a bar and they drink some liquor and they buy some kebab in the Muslim restaurants. They have the shawarma on the outside. Everyone sees the hot meat, right? So they eat the kebab sandwich, they drink some beer or liquor, and they go home and go to sleep during the day to go back to work at night. Is this true or not true? It's true. All these things have disrupted normal life in India in a big way. And it's all because of the factory school and the factory education that kids are receiving. Okay, we'll stop right there. Are there any questions? Now, this is a very controversial topic. I talked about Miss Sangor, who started female eugenics in India. Eugenics is eliminating children who are not desirable according to the wishes of perverted people. And oftentimes it's little girls. And I talked about the factory school and the rise of atheism and the exploitation that takes place in the factories and the tech companies. And these are all highly controversial subjects. Someone must have a question. Yes? More than 10 kids. It's 13. Yes, very good point. We sang this song, this bhajan today. The author of this bhajan, Bulia Tomare, My History of Woe, My History of Misery, was written by Bhaktivinoda Thakura. Bhaktivinoda Thakura was an exceptional person in India during the British colonial time. He reached the highest position an Indian national could attain in the British colonial government. He was a district manager in Orissa. That means the district magistrate. That means, like today you have the IAS officers, right? They are managers in Tamil Nadu or Kerala or these places, you know. So that was the highest position an Indian could reach in the British government, and he reached it. At the same time, he was the director of the Jagannath Puri temple. That's one of the biggest temples in India, right? And at the same time, he was an author that wrote hundreds of books about Vaishnavism. And at the same time, he was a father who had 13 kids. And they were all highly educated kids. All good kids, girls and boys. Now, how did he do this? He did it because he was strictly regulated. He had one of those pocket watches on a gold chain, right? And he was always looking at the watch. He woke up 12 o'clock at night. He would sleep from 8:39 to 12, only 2 or 3 hours every night. He would wake up 12, and from 12 to 6 in the morning, he would write. Then he would take his bath, and he would have darshan of Jagannath. And of course, he would have a little bit of breakfast. He would see his kids. Then the schedule in India is different than here. He would go to work at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock, he would sit down. He's a magistrate. He's a judge of the whole Orissa, right? It's a big place, a big population. There's 70, 80 million people there. He was a top magistrate. And he would make decisions. This guy goes to jail. This guy's acquitted, like that. Then, at 3 o'clock, he would go to the temple, because he's the head manager of this huge temple. Every day, there's 20, 30,000 people that visit that temple. And they're all fed prasadam. And it's a big organization. And he would manage the temple. And at 6 o'clock, he would come home. He would spend some time with his kids. He would eat a little something. And 8 or 9 o'clock, he would go to sleep and start all over again. Because of this, he is a very healthy person, didn't have any bad habits, and he did so much great work. He actually transformed Vaishnavism from an archaic and basically a suspect sect, because after the disappearance of Lord Chaitanya, Vaishnavism in Bengal and or Orissa degraded, and it became a bunch of like hippies. You don't call them hippies in India, you call them darveshas, right? And they deviated, and they started doing all kinds of nonsense, chanting Hare Krishna and smoking marijuana, damari dam, right? That's where that comes from, damari dam. It comes from that degraded period, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur stopped that. And then he had his son, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, actually spread Vaishnavism in an organized way, just like Ramanujacharya did in South India, he did in North India. And eventually Srila Prabhupada, who spread this organized Vaishnavism all over the world, right? But it was because of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He was at the foundation of it. He revamped the practice of Vaishnavism. So, it was not a secret. He was strictly regulated. Now, the reason people say get sick today, one of the main reasons is because of irregulated habits. Just like you're watching television eating, so you're going like this. Oh, look at Modi. He got it. Oh, look, there's riots in India. You're watching television and eating, right? A guest comes, you all sit down in front of the television. They say, how you doing? Okay, good. Now let's watch this. Okay. See, the television transformed India. I won't get into that, but all these things, these gadgets, have transformed the culture and made everything irregulated. Before in America wasn't like this. I remember that when I was a boy. People would sit down together to have breakfast in the morning, relaxed. They would read the Bible first, and then they would sit down and they would talk. What are you going to do today? Did you do your homework? What was your homework exactly? And they would talk. And they would read the Bible, and then the father would give a little sermon on the Bible. Right? And they would all pray, and they would eat. Then they'd go to work. Then they'd come back and have lunch. And same thing, you read the Bible, and work was not, 50 miles away or 100 miles away. Now that in India, sometimes people live in Gujarat because it's too expensive to live in Mumbai. And they have to take a train for 3 hours to come to work, and another train 3 hours to go back to Gujarat. See? Whereas before, you just walked out of your village dwelling and your workplace was right there, right? So, and then after lunch, and the same thing was in America, and then after working again, they would come back and have dinner together and sit down and sing some hymns and read the Bible again. So their life was like that here also. That all changed. That all changed. As soon as there was washing machines and dryers and cars and television, the whole thing changed. And now people eat at different times. They maybe a couple times a year, Diwali or Christmas, they sit together and have a family dinner. And everyone's going whiz, 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 here, there, all over the place. And it's disjuncted, and then people stay up playing on the internet or watching movies at 10, 11, 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And then they wake up 8 o'clock, and then they rush to work. And, the whole thing has become irregulated, and it causes sickness. That's why the hospitals are not getting smaller, they're getting bigger. The Medicare, Medicaid costs are not going down, they're going up. Why? Because people are irregulated. And the whole food industry is nonsense today. If you see what goes into your food, the pesticides, the artificial fertilizers, all these things, actually you're eating chemicals, right? And it has an effect on the body. Many people suffer from tiredness in this country. Many people, even teenagers. One lady came up to me the other day and said, my daughter is always tired. Do you have anything to help her? I said, it's all related to the diet. She said, what? We eat very good. I said, what do you eat? Oh, we eat sirloin steak, and we eat pork chops, and ham, and this. I said, that's the problem. How can that be a problem? That's protein. I said, it's protein intoxication. Huh? The lady was shocked when I said that. You see? So, we've been dumbed down by the factory schools to believe in the the food pyramid. See? In the food pyramid, it has meat in it, right? It's got some vegetables also, but it's got meat in it. Right? Now, is the meat on the bottom or the top? You tell me. In the pyramid. Doctor, is the meat on the top or the bottom of the pyramid? Top. What's on the bottom? Vegetables, yeah. But if you go to the Safeway or Walmart and see what people have in their cart, you'll see sometimes, especially when there's holidays, they have 6 different types of meat, right? They turn that pyramid upside down, right? Anyway, let's think about this. We should be able, if our kids should be taught to know that they have a soul. And there are 2 souls in the body. There's Paramatma, or Krishna, and there's Jivatma, or our individual soul. That should be the beginning of all education for our children. So thank you very much. Any other questions? Yes. Yes.
It may not be such a small one, but if you meet an atheist,
If you meet an atheist,
try to talk to him about religion.
and you try to talk to him about religion,
How would you approach it?
how would you approach it? Well, you're making a big mistake. You don't start off by talking about religion with an atheist. You begin by becoming friends.
You have friends who are atheists.
You have friends who are atheists, okay. So, you wait until they ask you a question. Now, why should they ask you a question? Because you're a genuinely good person. You don't smoke. You don't eat meat. You don't philander. You don't take intoxicants. You're always kind. You're always gentle. You're always patient. You're compassionate. You're affectionate. You're sharing. They say, well, wait a minute. This guy's a really good guy. You know, I mean, I have a lot of friends, but he might be the only one I can trust. So when they become convinced of your goodness, then they'll start asking you about your religion. They're not asking about God, they're asking about your religion, right? But God is part of your religion. So then, see, if you try and preach to a person that doesn't not respect you, you will go nowhere. You won't be able to convince them of anything. But to gain their respect could take years, especially of an atheist. It could take years. But eventually, God is on your side. What does that mean? Because his best devotee, Durga Mata, is beating up the atheist like this all the time. Right? They're getting beaten by Durga Mata. And eventually, they get exhausted. Say, I can't take it anymore. I got to find out why this is happening. I'll go ask Bharat Bhai. He's the only Gujarati I know that actually believes in God. Let me ask him, right? So they'll come to you and they'll start asking you some questions because they've been beaten so hard by Durga. They've been worshiping Durga, and Durga's been rewarding them and then beating them. That's her job. Until they get beaten to a pulp and they say, I give up. I got to find out why this is happening. Then they'll ask you, and at that point, you have a chance of convincing them.
I have noticed the atheists are really always thinking about God. There is no God, no God, God, God. Every time they speak, no God, no God. God.
Yeah, but it's in a negative way. It's in
But
a,
they are thinking of God all the time.
I know, you're right. Kamsa was thinking of God all the time also, but how to kill him. Right? Kamsa was better than Ravana and Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu did not believe that Varaha was God. Ravana did not believe that Rama is God. Kamsa knew that Krishna is God, but he wanted to kill him, and he was always fearful. So he was better than Ravana and Hiranyakashipu. However, he still was thinking in a negative way. But he was Krishna conscious. You're right. Yeah. Ravana and Hiranyakashipu were not Krishna conscious. They didn't think that there was a God that could equal them. They all thought that they were invincible. Kamsa felt the fact he actually was afraid that he was going to be killed by Krishna. He knew that Krishna could kill him. That's why Kamsa did what? When Krishna was no longer in the prison with Vasudeva and Devaki, and he heard that Krishna had left, he sent his demon friends to kill all the firstborn babies in Vrindavan and the surrounding areas. Right? Now, this is very similar to what happened in the history of Jesus. All the firstborn babies were also killed, after Jesus was born, because they couldn't catch him, so they went around killing all the firstborn babies. So this is not something new, but the whole narrative of Jesus is somewhat similar to the appearance of Krishna. They borrowed from it, right? Okay, so we'll stop right there. Thank you very much. And think about what we said today. Very interesting subject. You want to lead the... Fix this one.
Can you put that upper board? Shall we start?
It has to be raised. He doesn't need that. Okay. It should be able to be heard.
Yeah. Kiba Jayo Jaya Gora Chande Aroti Ke Shobha Jayo Jaya Gora Chande Aroti Ke Shobha Janavita Tavane Jagamanaloba Janavita Tavane Jagamanaloba Dakine Nitaya Chan Brahme Gadadara Dakine Nitaya Anikate Advaita Srini Ivasa Chatradara Jayo Jaya Gora Chande Aroti Ke Shobha Navita Tavane Jagamanaloba Bashi Yache Gorachan Ratna Simhasane Arati करे न ब्रह्मा यदि देवगाने जय जय गौरा चंदे आरती के शोभा विततवाने जगमनलोबा की बनरा हरियादि कोरी चमरा दुलाया संजय मुकुंद बासु घोषाय दिगाय कि बजयो जय गौरचंदे आरती के शोभा जानवी ततवाने जगमनलोबा शंख बाजे घंटा बाजे बाजे करताल मधुर मृदंग बाजे परामरसाला शंख बाजे घंटा बाजे मधुर 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 बाजे शंख बाजे घंटा बाजे मधुर 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 बाजे माधुर 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 बाजे माधुर 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 बाजे गौरंगे आरोतिक शोभा जग जनमाना लोभा जग जनमाना लोभा जग जनमाना लोभा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल बहो कोटि चंद्र जीनी वदन उज्ज्वल गाला देशे वनमाला कोरे जलमाला ki Gaura Sampada Jayo Jayo Gaura Chande Aroti ke Shobha Ajana Vitatavane Jagamanaloba Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Hey Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari bol, Hari bol, Hari bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari bol. Nitai Gaur, Hari bol, Hari bol, Hari bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari bol. Jayam Vishnupad Paramans Parivajakacharya Srodasa Sri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupad Paramans Parivajakacharya Srodasa Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavin Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jai Dvaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrind Ki Shri Shri Radha Neelamadhava Gop Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Vrindavan Dham Ki Mathurapuri Dham Ki Navadvip Dham Ki Mayapur Dham Ki Dwarka Dham Ki Jagannathpuri Dham Ki Ganga Mai Ki Jamna Mai Ki Tulsi Devi Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Samved Bhaktavrind Ki ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Brij Madanga Ki Srila Prabhupada Ki Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Namaste Narashinhaya Radhanadadayini Namaste Narashinhaya Radhanadadayini Hiranyakashi Purvakshah Shilatam Ganakalaye Ito Nishingha Parato Nishingha Yato Yato Yamitato Nishingha Bayin Nishinga Hidaye Nishinga Nishinga Mahadim Sadaka Nishinga Hidaye Nishinga Narashina Mahadim Saranam Prabhade Avakara Kamala Bade Nakam Adhuta Singham Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringham Keshavajita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadesha Hare Jaya Jagadesha Hare Jaya Jagadesha Hare Tavakara Kamala Bade Nakam Adhuta Singham Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringham Keshavajita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadesha Hare Jaya Jagadesha Hare Jaya Jagadesha Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jagora Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitagora Hari Bol Jagora Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitagora Hari Bol Shingadev Bhagavan ki Jai Bhakta Prahlad Maharaj ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandin Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. So tonight we have a Veena concert by Srimati Subhasini Shastriji. Right now we're going to have this concert. Also on June 24th to June 28th, we have a middle and high school youth camp for children that are 10 years and up. June 24th and 28th in this temple. You can sign up for it. And a second camp from June 28th to July 3rd. So these two camps cost $200. That's for both of them. It includes lunch and snacks. And you can contact Bharti Raheja. Bharti, the person that's in charge of our Hindi school and our Vedic school. And you can sign your child up for these two camps, June 24th to 28th, and then 28th to July 3rd. Tonight we want to thank our sponsors, Soumya Sridas, and Guru Purna Vashist, in honor of their dads, and Guru Purna Vashist in the honor of her dad, who has passed away. And our upcoming events, we have the Panihati Chidadahi Utsav
Friday, June 14th at 7 p.m., so that's this next week. And this is a very special festival that was celebrated in Bengal by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda 500 years ago. And it's all about a very wealthy person in Bengal who surrendered to Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. And Lord Nityananda called him a thief. And he said the punishment for being a thief, for having so much money, is that you must feed all the devotees as much as they want. So this was a grand festival that thousands and thousands and thousands of people attended, and they just kept coming. The word spread. You know how India is, when the word spreads, free food, more and more people come. And the more people came, the more this very wealthy person named Raghunath Das Goswami, the more he spent money to feed them, until an ocean of people came, and they were fed an ocean of prasad. So we're going to celebrate this festival on Friday, June 14th. And Shidadahi, it means it's flat rice with yogurt, banana, dates, raisins, and other things. No white sugar. And also jaggery. So no junk sugar, and only sweetness from sweet fruits and gur or jaggery. And that begins at 7 o'clock on Friday, June the 14th. Then on Sunday, June 16th, next Sunday, we have Radha and Krishna's, Shri Radha Nilamadava's Boat and Swing Festival. That'll be outside starting at 6 o'clock. So everyone is invited to see Radha and Krishna have a ride on a boat. We're going to make a big pool and flowers and so forth. It's be a wonderful festival. And then June 22nd from 12 to 8 p.m., it's Saturday, June 22nd, 2 weeks from now, we have our first vegetarian, vegan, raw food festival in downtown Redmond's New Park. The first time that there's a vegetarian festival in Redmond. So all the meat eaters should come. We're going to have imitation meat also, vegetarian meat. Anyway, everyone is invited. June 22nd, 12 to 8 p.m. There's a lot of entertainment, and you'll learn a lot of wonderful things about vegetarianism, veganism, and raw food. And then every Saturday we have our Harinam Sankirtan in the U District, and our food truck distributing free food. You see our food truck outside in the parking lot. It's the only free food truck in the whole United States. Nobody else has a free food truck. And we go and distribute to all people. It doesn't matter, they're rich or poor. And you can take part in this. And right now we have a Veena concert. So we'll begin that right away. Hare Krishna.
Arun Rangavar birthday, Prabhu. Yes. Arun Rangavar birthday.
What about?
Arun actually, Arun Gangavar, Prabhu. Arun
Gangachari.
Sorry, Arun Gangachari.
I don't understand what
Sorry, Arun Gangachari birthday. We need to announce that.
Also, we're going to celebrate a birthday tonight of a very dear devotee, our Arun Rangachari Prabhu. He's turning 16 years old today. Where is he? Is he here? Come forward, Arun Prabhu.
Arun Gangavar. This Prabhu.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Arun Rangavar?
Ganga.
Oh, Ganga Par. Okay. Okay, Arun Prabhu, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. So stand up, Arun, so everyone can see you. He's only 16 today. No, that's not true. That's not true. But he looks 16. How old are you now, Prabhu? 35 years old. Haribol. We wish you a very happy. Do you have a cake or no? I did. I announced it. Hare Krishna to you. Hare Krishna to you. Hare Krishna, dear Arun Prabhu. Hare Krishna to you. Haribo, Haribo. Many more Hare Krishna, happy birthdays, and we have a present for you. Don't leave without your present. And can we get the garland for Arun? Somebody get the garland. So don't forget our Veg Fest 2 weeks from now at Redmond's new downtown park. It's a beautiful park, and we're going to have a beautiful festival. There's a lot of entertainment, a lot of free food, a lot of free tasting. There's all kinds of food going to be there that are vegetarian, vegan, and raw, and a lot of information about health. Hare Krishna. You always remember Krishna. So the real wealth is health. So if you want to find out how to be healthy and maintain it, come to the festival. Of course, the number one medicine or oshad for health is chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay, so we're going to start our concert now. Haribol. Okay, so everyone who wants to be healthy, let's repeat after me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. Hare Hare. Hare Hare. Gaur Premanandi. Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, in Rajasthan, one village, 113 boys and 11 girls. And
Why is that?
and after 20 years, and the 113 fellows were falling on the feet of the 11 parents. That is what had happened in Rajasthan. It is real. Yeah, 113 boys and only 11 girls.
Because thank Miss Sanders for that.
Yeah, I think that's the end of, then nowadays I think the problem is not there. The population is very steady and no one is killing girls. It was there for some point in time. Nowadays, I have seen 2 years. The person is almost of my age, maybe 3 years younger than me. 2 of his daughters are in America, and he has no sons at all. And he is a very happy man, and both the daughters are giving beer every year. He is blessed with 2 girls.
Yes, I'm blessed with 4 girls and 2 sons. My girlfriend.
Girls are always very Hare.
దానికి అడాప్టర్ కావాలనుకుంటారండి దానికి తను ఇస్తుంది ఆవిడ దగ్గర
మంచి పని చేస్తున్నారు.
ఇస్తున్నారు కింద బోర్డు అక్కడ పెట్టు పవర్ కార్డు ఆయనకి ఇంకోటిగా మైక్ కావాలి కదా అడగండి ఈ నీడ్ వన్ మైక్ టోటల్గా ఇది
Krishna. This evening we have Srimati Subhashini Shastri Garu with us with her violin concert. She's Veena concert. She's coming from Hyderabad, and she is a grade A AIR artist, as well as she on a Doordarshan grade A artist. She runs her own Veena school. It's called the Gayatri Academy, and from Safilguda in Hyderabad. She is also a professor in Potti Sri Ramulu Telugu University. So, and I want to keep this crisp because we're already late. Thank you for your patience and time. And on Mridangam, we have Jagadish Ji. He has played here multiple times. We're all familiar with him, and we are glad he is back here on ISKCON stage again. Hare Krishna. Thank you all, and we hope to hear you. Pleasant.
Hello. Good evening. Andarki namaskaram. I'll be starting the concert with Kriti Vatapi Ganapatim Bhaje. Hope you all know the ragam. It's Hamsadvani ragam, Dikshitar Kriti. Next is Anamacharya Kirtana, Sriman Narayana. item is Neerajakshi Kamakshi in Hindola Ragam, Dikshitar Kriti, Rupakatala. The next item is Banturidi Goluviye Vayarama Tyagaraja Kriti. A little bit of ragam and tanam in the ragam. I would mix 2-3 ragams in the tanam. నరసింహాచార్య కృతి బ్రహ్మ కడిగిన పాదం. ఓ రాఘవ జయంతి శ్రీరాఘవ. ஒரு என்றும் இல்லை ராகமாரி. అలాగే బంగారమైన రామదాస్ కృతి. ಕೃಷ್ಣ ನೀ ಬೇಗನೆ ಬಾರು.
Thank you so much, Subhashini Garu, for bringing Vedanadam to our temple today.